Our next speaker will talk about retail plus mobile, effective mobile strategies to drive shoppers to the store. Very interesting concept. As a Vice President of Digital Services at Marketing Convergence Incorporated, MCI, Ferdie heads the SM group of companies' digital arm. He specializes in creating digital marketing strategies for more than 30 SM brands in various industries. Since January 2008, he had supervised the initiation and managed the maintenance of over 44 websites and had successfully integrated social media assets for the company. Prior to MCI, Ferdie was with Microsoft Philippines as its engagement manager. So welcome, Ferdie Saputil, Vice President of MCI.
Okay. Wow, we still have a crowd here. I was expecting at this time probably less than 50% would still be here. So which means that it's either you really would like to hear this discussion or you just have nothing better else to do. So I hope it's the first one that you really would like to know what I'm going to discuss. I'm with MCI. Since I'm the last presenter, I'll try to make this as short and sweet as possible. I'm with Marketing Convergence, Inc. As introduced, we're the company that handles the digital services across the SM group of companies. So if you actually search MCI, what you'll probably see is SM Advantage, because it's the same company that's handling the SM Advantage card program with something like 8 million members right now. And the reason why the company or my division is actually tucked within MCI is because SM Advantage would be the most agnostic across the SM group of companies in terms of services, because we can service retail, we can service property, hotels, resorts, the malls, etc. And the only group that I don't work with is actually the banks, BDO and China Bank. So I work with retail, mall, property, hotels, and resorts. And actually, I really have a very small division, something like only 12. And I actually work with a lot of vendors and partners in all of our engagements. So we handle websites, social media, apps, SMS, EDM, and I work with various agencies in terms of delivering most of these services. That's why I also work with some of the audience here. And I've been there since 2008. And in fact, there's a lot of personal losses and gains through the years. I've lost a lot of hair and I've gained a lot of pounds. And I hope in the coming years I'll be able to cut that. And my first question when we started 2008, coming from Microsoft, and I was asked to join the organization and set up the division, the first question was why? I mean, why would a company like SM set up a company or a division that will handle most of its digital services? I'll try to answer that question with a quick story. This is my son, Luis. He's actually the eldest of my kids. He's 4 years old. And this is him playing his Xbox, Star Wars Xbox Kinect. And actually, I didn't teach him how to play this. He just actually loaded the game himself, turned it on, played it. And of course, 4 years old, this is his concept of how to draw a dragon. And actually, when we were set up, the direction and the mandate that was set to us is to prepare the organizations for customers like Luis, kids, teens, and tweens right now, who have actually are very much adapt to technology and actually sees the world differently, like us adults. I mean, they are easy to adapt to whatever devices or services that you introduce to them. And just to give you an idea in terms of the statistics, this is the US population by age and sex. As you can see, it's very evenly spread out, aging 55 or 50 and below. But if you look at the Philippine statistics, it's actually like a volcano. So it's a very young population. And I think that is the direction and the direction that we have set for the conglomerate. It's that eventually, kids, teens, and tweens like Luis will be our customer. And the objective for us is to make sure that by the time that they reach that age where they already have their purchasing power, the organization is already equipped, knowledgeable in terms of how to service these kinds of customers. As mentioned, the kids right now, in terms of technology and adoption to the mobile services, it's also not new. I mean, I'm sure you've seen kids, 1 year old, 2 years old, with their parents in the restaurants, giving them iPads and mobile devices just for them to probably just keep quiet. And I think you've already seen the statistics this morning in terms of the Filipino kids. And I guess it's no surprise why that is such a numbers, because well, I guess why it's no surprise for us Filipinos to be always at the top when it comes to ranking with regards to social media, mobile adoption, etc. Because we really have a very young population. So it's 65% in the Philippines, percentage of kids age 7 to 14 that owns mobile phones. It's 42% in Australia and 22% in Taiwan. Now, when I first joined the division, and we first had this conversation about mobile devices, 2008, apps and smartphones were just really limited to a few. And majority of my conversations were actually limited to what can we do with SMS. And even during that time, the concerns of the business units, the leads, the business owners remain consistent. The question always is that, how will it support my current marketing initiatives? They are, I mean, you have to recognize the fact that majority of the business decision makers have metrics to meet. There are sales numbers that they should be getting on a monthly basis. And if you come in and say that, oh, we can do this something fancy, it's an app, it does these things, etc. The first question is asked is, okay, what is your commitment in terms of revenue? What is your commitment in terms of sales? Because that's just how they think. That's how they've been practicing the whole marketing initiatives over the years. So it's still the same question, regardless of whatever you offer. How will it drive people to my store? I mean, if you have an application, and you say, I have an application and I can drive people to the store, the next question is, how many of these people have actually downloaded your application? I mean, if you have 10,000, a retail store owner will probably say, 10,000? I can do more with a print ad, or a TV commercial, or a radio commercial. How will it improve conversion to purchase? It's actually the story about shortening the consideration gap. We all know as marketers, as digital marketers now, that there is a process by which purchases are being made. Not way where, not when it used to be where people actually listen to the TV commercials or to the radio commercials, to whatever the merchant is saying. Right now, people tend to believe what other people say. And the objective really there is that you're searchable, people will find you, they can see those recommendations, and actually that helps shorten the consideration gap. But from a mobile component, how is that? I mean, how are you going to execute that? How will it create loyal customers? I guess that's the only two stay-awake issues for most merchants and retail shop owners. Sales and repeat customers. It's because repeat customers actually covers a lot of things. The customer satisfaction, the quality of the promo and the campaigns, etc. So when we were doing this, the first question was, how do we start? And when I was talking to a lot of my vendor partners, always the recommendation is, let's build an app, let's build an app. But of course, we all know for a fact that the most common data application on a mobile device is SMS. And it's still now SMS. And when we were having this SMS conversation, it's not the sexiest solution that you will find, but it still actually has the highest reach. And for me, when we talk about mobile marketing, it's all about, SMS for me is like breathing. It's not even an or anymore, or a must, or a nice to have. It's a must have. It's like breathing. Breathing in the sense that you have to develop a infrastructure around it. When we were starting the SMS platform for the organization, and give credit to Art Policarpi here who actually helped us with that one, we were looking at multiple implementations. There were guys with GSM modem, there were guys with prepaid unlimited accounts, messages were being sent at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. We don't even have a very good idea in terms of the data that we have within the whole conglomerate. Who has the most data, who has the quality data? Because we also know for a fact that a person with a device, especially with prepaid devices, and especially look at our market, it's Masa, they can immediately change their numbers. So when I say we should start building an infrastructure, number one, what we did was making sure that in terms of communication, it's just coming from one source. Number two is data. I mean, you can have the right platform, technology, partner, a telco provider, but if you don't have the right data, you don't have the right number, it's a challenge. Because SMS, compared to EDMs or email broadcasts, is very expensive. It's a much costly marketing initiative if compared to email. I mean, if you do 1 million broadcasts a day, you can just imagine what that cost is on a monthly basis. So the data is important, and you should have a process wherein you're able to, on a regular basis, be able to qualify and double-check those numbers and double-check those mobile numbers that you have, regardless if it's a CRM initiative, a promo campaign, a right on a recibo initiative, as long as it's captured somewhere and you're able to qualify those numbers. Number 2 is content. It's not enough that you're doing broadcasts, and I'm sure you've actually received a lot of these loans, housing, condo, name it, from unlimited vendors, partners, or supposedly people that you know. And the first thing you do is actually ignore, ignore, delete, ignore. So it's actually the kind of data that you're trying to deliver. That's very important. It's not enough that you're doing broadcasts, but the kind of data. Data in the sense that it has to be relevant. And going back to my story, that's why we're tucked under MCI, is SM Advantage Card program. It's because that's where the data is for SM. That's where the whole transactions of the loyal customers are. And that's where we get our information. I'm not saying this because probably you're saying, hey, you're SM, you have lots of data, but I'm just a small shop. It's the same thing. Regardless how big or how small the retail store is, your customer data is your key. That's your gold mine. Credibility. It's important that there's credibility in terms of where the content is coming from. And I think I said that at the start. That's why you want to make sure that your messages are coming from a single source. Credibility also means that there is especially now, there is an opt-in and opt-out service, which is a requirement. Okay, but aside from broadcast alert, and it was mentioned also a while ago that there's almost non-existent vast services now. SMS can be used to measure success from receipt to redemption. And actually, what you just need to do is find out where SMS will make sense in most of your initiatives, in most of your campaigns. So for example, like in the past, there were a lot of services where you have to, if you go to some of our retail stores, if you want to join, we're giving away a car. If you want to join the promo, you just have to write your name on a piece of paper, your mobile number. There's a drop box, etc. So what we initially did is try to remove that functionality or remove that process and try to integrate SMS with it, or our SM Advantage card and other services that goes with it. So the message here is really to make sure that if you're using SMS, do not look at it only from a vast alert broadcast point of view, but really trying to integrate it with whatever existing marketing campaigns that your store is doing. I'll show you a sample of a campaign which was done by one of our partners, Ecom, and this is a B-Code initiative. B-Code actually for us is something that we've been working with them for almost 2 years now. I don't know if you've tried purchasing an SM Cinema ticket using your device. When you buy the ticket online, you get an SMS, and then you scan your SMS, ticket comes out. So it's the same scenario, but this one is in partnership with Dove and Neutrogena, with Watson. And all you need to do is enter your mobile number, and after entering your mobile number, you'll get this SMS. As you can see, it's just an SMS. You don't need a smartphone device actually for you to receive this kind of promotions and campaign. Any device has an SMS feature. So once you receive the SMS, you go to the kiosk in any store. You actually swipe your kiosk on that red thing there, and out comes the coupon. I always say this because in my experience, redemption is where it's tricky, because redemption is when the digital world meets the real world. Digital is when I get everything from a smartphone app, from a SMS promo, etc. But when you go to the store and the experience is not seamless, that's it. It ends there. There's a lot of frustrations already. So you want to make it as seamless as possible. So with this one, because we need to integrate on a POS, on a point of sale, so we need to spit out a coupon that the POS can read. So you scan your SMS, you get your coupon, and actually this is a gift with purchase promo. So what happens is that you present your coupon with the purchase of an item, and then you get your freebie. By the way, you can try this. This is an ongoing promo. You just text B-Code Dove to 2982 for GlobeSun, so free plugging for Watson. Okay. Next one. There's a saying, fish where the fishes are. It can be many things. It can be making sure that you're present where your customers are. But for me, when I say this, it means providing the infrastructure for your customers to find you. I think SM right now is one of the biggest Wi-Fi service providers in the country. We have 46 malls nationwide, or something like 47 before the end of the year. And it's been a challenge for us when we started this 3 years ago on how to monetize this free Wi-Fi service. And there were attempts for us to just ask people to probably get email addresses, log in, etc., and drive you to a portal where we can probably monetize the portal. But it was a challenge because people were not used to that. I mean, they were used to just clicking on clicking on the accept terms and condition, and from there you already have your free Wi-Fi. That's very simple. Why make it complicated? So we actually, because of the customer concerns that we were getting, we reverted back to the current process right now. But over the years, when we were doing this, we evaluated the data, and this is what we got. 1.2 million is the average monthly unique user access in all of our malls. That's unique. In other words, it's based on the MAC address of the devices that connect. So, and for us, sabi namin, okay, it's a good number. How can we maximize and probably monetize this number? Additional data. 88% accesses the mall Wi-Fi using a mobile device. And probably wondering, gano'n ba karami yung iPhone devices, tablets, etc. But the numbers really is that since this is still the mall, majority of our mall Wi-Fi users accesses the Wi-Fi using the entry-level Android devices. It's not the high-end phones. It's not your iPad, your tablets. It's those entry-level smartphone devices, and probably has no app capability. And I know for a fact because our kasambahay, or our help in the house, every weekend she'd go on a leave, only to find out that she goes to the nearest SM mall. She stayed there the whole day. She has her Android entry-level phone, and she does her Facebook, and she tags me every time, blah, blah, blah. So, kaya ko siya nahuhuli. That's how I found out about it. So, friends kami. And that's the behavior of most users. And as I said, majority of the access uses their mobile browser. It's mobile browser driven. Okay. So, our direction then, since majority, we all know for a fact, and I'm sure you've gotten this over the presentations this morning, that most of the digital content right now are consumed using mobile devices. Our direction and our strategy was to be present in all of these platforms. That's why all of our malls, they have their Facebook pages, and they're actively and aggressively promoting it. They have their Twitter accounts. We're looking into Foursquare because we're seeing also from our sentiment analysis monitoring that they're doing a lot of Foursquare check-ins from the supermarket to the department store to the tenants. And for us, what we said is that rather than immediately jump into monetization, let's just make sure that we are present in these platforms. And when we were looking at the promotions and campaigns that we were doing, every time we open a Uniqlo or Forever 21 or whatever store, the majority of the user-generated content were created inside the mall. They were not created outside. So these are users who probably saw the in-store campaign, the in-store banner, and said, okay, I want to join this promo. I want to upload my picture. I want to join this contest. Well, thank you, SM, because you have free Wi-Fi. Now I can join the contest. And that's how we see the value of the mall. That's why majority of our initiatives are actually, when we launch it, it's launched within the mall using the Wi-Fi infrastructure. Of course, in the near future, we still would like to monetize this free Wi-Fi. And in fact, we're working with a technology partner right now that we can make it non-intrusive, that we can also support the requests of some of our advertisers. They want to place some ads on our pages, but in a non-intrusive way. And hopefully by Q1 of next year, you'll see these pilots in some of our malls. Okay. I just want to show a case study here, and this is very recent. We actually launched this campaign Thursday or Friday of last week. This is for SM Cinema. It's called the Free Movie Day. On December 8th, SM Cinema is actually giving away free movie tickets. And we started the campaign with 3,000 fans. Right now, I think today we're already at 200,000. And that's also equivalent to the number of tickets that we've probably given out nationwide. And it's very easy. You go online, click on the Facebook app, you tag a friend, click what mall, what cinema, what time, and you get your voucher. You go back to the mall and get your free ticket. It's easy. And the reason why I'm using this as case studies, because when we were looking at the whole initiatives and we were looking at the thread in Facebook, majority of the people who actually, or some of the people actually are trying to get the tickets, were doing it also inside the mall. We found out because their challenge is, how am I going to print the voucher? And I'm using a cell phone. And that's why a lot of learnings for this campaign on how to probably, again, integrate SMS in terms of redemption. So it's going to be much easier. But this is just a case study in terms of how we're maximizing that infrastructure. Okay. Mobile apps. I've actually had this conversation so many times with some of our vendors if I want to do, or if you want to build mobile apps. And these are just I'm just highlighting some of the partners we're looking at. And I can actually break it down to some common functionalities. Primarily, of course, if it's a retail app, promos and deals are delivered real time. It's location-based or geofencing. I don't know if geofencing is something that we're looking into, but location-based is available right now. It tells me where I am, show me the promo, show me what's available, and alert me if I'm already near the store. There's push notification, payment. Of course, it's always a challenge. At first, when we're looking at payment, I said, oh, madali lang yan because everybody's doing online payment. But I don't know how they're fixing it right now, but mobile payment is another story. I mean, yes, it's not just as easy as just running it in a browser. So that's something that we're also looking into. Then, of course, there's redemption. As I said, that's where digital meets the real world, redemption. They use QR code. When we started using QR code, the challenge was not a lot of people really know how to use a QR code. Do I use SMS coupons? Do I use a barcode? For a barcode, the POS requirement or the point of sale requirement is that you should have at least an optical laser reader, because if it's just the standard laser reader, it bounces off from the glasses of the smartphone devices. So those are the things that we were considering, or you should consider, if you're looking at mobile apps. As I said, redemption, when I talk about redemption, there are things that you have to ask yourself before you actually do mobile redemption. And this is a process that also we have to go through when we were launching our mobile redemption processes with our applications or some of the promos that we did. Number one is you need to count inventory. A lot of merchants, actually, when they do promotions, there's actually limit in terms of inventory that they're willing to give out, especially if it's a free item. Now imagine if everybody downloaded this application and everybody wanted the free teddy bear, only to find out when they go to the store, ay, sorry sir, ubos na. We ran out of teddy bears. We ran out of this. We ran out of that. So it has to be integrated somewhere in the back end. It's not just a promo that I'm giving away a coupon. It has to be integrated into somewhere, integrated to the inventory, integrated to the POS, so that, as I said, the customer experience remains the same. Do you need details of the person who redeemed the item? Number one question is that person willing to give you that information? Am I willing to give you my email address, my mobile number, just for a teddy bear? What's the catch? I mean, how am I going to capture that information? From an application point of view, how am I going to deliver that to my backend CRM? Will it be multiple store to integrate on the POS? Those are just the questions that you have to take into consideration when you're using a mobile application. But again, what I'm saying is that I'm not saying not to go mobile app. You have to go mobile app, but there's a lot of things that you can do still with mobile app. This is just a case study that I saw. This is not SM. It's just, for me, it's very interesting on how they were able to use mobile apps, especially for a retail environment. Sound?
There he is. He's getting the message. There's a promotion for BPAC. I think so. Yeah, we got him. Sick bubblegum!
Meet Meatpack is the trendiest shoe store in Guatemala, a brand known for its edgy, cutting style and a store known for its unique discounts in limited edition kicks including brands like Adidas, Nike and Reebok. An icon for the sneakerhead subculture with over 60,000 fans on their fan page in less than a year. They needed to launch a new promotion to live up to their hardcore fans, an innovative way to earn your discount. We created Hijack, an enhancement for the official Meatpack app used by our customers. Using GPS tracking technology that marks every competitor's store of the brand sold at Meatpack. So every time one of our sneakerheads enters one of the stores, it triggers a special notice with a promotion. Hijack sends an alert to the person's mobile with a discount that starts at 99% and decreases by 1% every second that goes by, making the countdown stop until you reach our store. More than 600 customers were hijacked from the competitors in a week. One customer, Pedro Rodriguez, got a record-breaking 89% discount. This is the first promo campaign that started the sale in the competitors' stores.
Here you have at the Nike store.
Okay, so it's actually an app, but as I said, it's very engaging. It's fun, and it's something that probably you would download. I mean, for 89% discount, why not? Okay, now there's been an ongoing debate in terms of, do I go mobile app or do I go mobile web? And for me, actually, it's not actually a debate. I think for me, it's a given. If you have it's a given that you should have a mobile website. You've invested so much for a website that does the catalog, that does the transactions, social media integration, etc. Only to find out that when you go to an iPad device or a tablet device or phone, it's not viewable, and it doesn't make sense. So I guess it's a given. If you have a website and if you want that website to work very hard, and I'm not just talking about a big website, it can be a small one, it can be even if you have a very extensive Facebook page and if you really want that Facebook page to work very hard, I think it's important you should start considering building your own or building a mobile site. Now, why am I really adamant in terms of having that mobile site? Because it also has its advantages. Mobile sites are immediately available. I mean, if you ask a vendor, say, build me a microsite for a promo, it's done in a week's time. I don't have to worry about iOS, application, Android, etc. That's going to take me 1 month. By the time the promo launches, it's done. So this one is quick and simple. It's a mobile site, and as I said, looking at our statistics inside the mall, 88% is mobile browser, so it makes sense. You can update it instantly. For some reason or whatever, the marketing person said, okay, we ran out of shoes, we ran out of free bags, we ran out of this. I want you to update the inventory and tell them that instead of bags, we're giving away shoes or we're giving away wallets, whatever. So you can update it on the fly. It's compatible across different devices. Again, as for SM, we've seen the data. It's entry-level Android devices, so they use a browser. Makes a lot of sense. It has a bigger reach. And of course, it's easier and less expensive. I mean, you wouldn't probably ask for how much that cost is if I'm not SM. So we'll always check what's going to be the ROI, what's going to be the return on marketing investments for all of these initiatives. Social rewards. I'm with the SM Advantage Card program, so I'm very much familiar with the rewards concept. We all know social rewards is the utilization of your cards. It can be a show card for privileges, points redemption, and earning. And actually, when we talk about social rewards, this is not a new concept. In fact, Foursquare, Gowalla, all of these companies have already done it. They're already into it. But I guess when I say social rewards, it has to be going back to that concept of being relevant. Scavenger and Shopkick. I don't know if you've heard these companies today. I'll be surprised if you didn't. They do a lot of social rewards concept. You are awarded with virtual points every time you go to the physical store. You scan this, you get a virtual point. You go inside the store for Shopkick. The minute you enter the store, you get a point. And actually, the good thing here is that if you can convert those virtual points to actual points, that's where the fun part is. If you can convert something that is gained virtually to something that can be redeemed physically. And I guess for merchants, the question is, why are we going to do this? Again, it goes back to what I discussed a while ago, that people now buy based on what other people say, not just based on what the merchants say. And if you want to drive a lot of media impressions and social media conversations within your network, with your friends' network or your customers' network, this should be a good strategy. Gamification. We actually did this. This is a campaign that we did middle of this year. It was not something that just immediately happened. We've been discussing things with, during that time, Denso Indio. Now it's Hot Air Balloon for a number of years already. And we weren't ready during that time because we really wanted to use the mall Wi-Fi infrastructure. And there were still some twerks, some tweaking that we're doing with the application itself. But we launched it. I would like to thank IMAP because we actually received a Bronze Boomerang Award for this. And we also received a gold from the digital marketing gold from the International Council of Shopping Centers. So let's just play the case study. Okay. Finally, I guess you've heard a lot of demographic discussions the whole day and the value of being in mobile or at least having some form of mobile campaign, especially for a marketing group. But I guess these are the things that you need to bring when you have that conversation now with your marketing leads, your business owners. But for me, I just have just a few advice if you're really going to do this. Of course, integrate the old with the new. I mean, mobile is just really just a channel. It's not the end-all be-all solution. So if you have anything that is happening from a marketing perspective, a campaign that's already planned out, your role, the marketer's role, digital marketer's role, is to make sure that you find yourself relevance in those initiatives. There's more than just apps. Use what is relevant to the customer in your business. Depends on the size of the organization. I mean, you may be a merchant that actually has the highest segment or a segment that really goes for the apps, and you may be a merchant that really goes for those who cannot afford to or doesn't have the means to get an app. So you just really have to find relevance because mobile is not just applications. Set metrics for success. It's very important immediately in the first conversation that you will have. What is the goal of this project? Because they're also measured. All the business owners, all the unit heads, all the marketing people are also measured. So you have to align to those matrices. And of course, ultimately, delight, engage, enchant, and remain remarkable to your customers. Because for us, this is now the new business as usual. Back to Luis. Thank you.
Thanks, Ferdie. I know it's late, but I think we have some time for a few more questions. I'm sure you're interested with the presentation. Questions? Gutom na. Here you go, sir.
Thank you. Yes, I have a question on the redemption, which you mentioned a couple of times. Different ways you've been showing on redemption with the SMS scanning, but all require some heavy investment, I would say, especially if you look at 47 different malls and hundreds of stores. Are you taking such an investment? And if yes, I mean, how are you executing it?
Yes. Well, actually, right now we're evaluating. Yes, to answer the question is yes. We're now making those necessary investments. We're now evaluating what would be the effort like, just the replacement of the scanners in the stores, or do we do a phase implementation where just be specific areas in the store that can accommodate those kinds of redemptions. We're looking into NFC. We're doing some pilots probably by early next year, not from a payment component procedure, but a passive NFC for redemption as well. We've seen this technology. We've seen it implemented outside of the country where you buy an NFC keychain, you tap it in a video wall or something, you get that promo, and then that promo is already tagged to you. So when you go to the store, you swipe your card, etc. So we're trying to integrate whatever our customers have, because again, at the end of the day, our objective is to make sure that it's seamless as possible. I mean, if you already have an SM Advantage card, why not use the card for you to redeem your coupon? If you already have a device that is capable of being read by our POS, why not make it available there as well?
All right. Any other questions? Yes? From way up there, Edmond Hoson, I think.
Hi. Great presentation, Ferdie.
Thank you. I know this guy.
So as SM, I was just wondering, how do you get your stores in SM to participate? Are they a willing participant? Do they have their own campaigns? Do you tell them, or do you offer to them? How do you do a campaign with them?
I guess, well, to answer that, I guess there's two things happening that probably is working for us. Number one, the division is actually set and created by the owners of the company. So it's of course, if the owners are looking and dictating it, everybody just follows. But that's not always the case. We still need to make sure that the value proposition is clear. And as I said, going into any conversation related to digital marketing, regardless if it's mobile, web, or whatever, the most important thing is that you have to understand their business. You have to understand what their metrics are, what their goals are, because that's the only time that they will listen. So in encouraging them, in asking them to participate, it's really a synergy of sorts, where we try to understand what the objectives, and from there we come out with recommendations. And normally, I guess, because we're consolidating all efforts across the group, the advantage for the division is that there's replicability. We don't build every time there is an opportunity. Whatever worked for the mall may work for this retail company, may work for that. So from a cost perspective, because that's always the question that will be asked, how much is this going to cost me? We are able to bring it down to a level where it's acceptable and the risk is acceptable.
All right, questions? You mentioned that one of the primary drivers is to drive the consumer to the store. Are there any plans to close the loop and end the sale within the particular platform that they're accessing?
Yeah, we're doing some pilots right now to close the whole loop from a mobile application side or the whole transaction ends at the device or ends at the platform. As I said, the challenge really for us, it's really more on, if it's an online store initiative, it's not just the payment, now it's the logistics, the fulfillment part. So we just want to make sure that should you order that grocery item from supermarket or from hypermarket, we want to make sure that you can actually pick it up in the store and the item is available, or it can actually be delivered to your house. So we're already in the process where that's the portion that's the last hurdle for us. How we're going to integrate inventory, because the advantage that we have really is because of the branches and number of malls we have. So might as well take advantage of that by offering a number of services in terms of fulfillment, not just delivery, even pickup in the future.
All right. If there are no other questions, none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ferdie.